Bitcoin's bull run is in full swing, entering phase 2 of the bull and showing extreme strength. The price has been rallying, but it seems to have hit a little bit of wall, causing a lot of people to be a little bit concerned. Is this rally going to continue, or is there something a little bit bigger in the charts that are going to cause a lot of chaos and potentially catch everybody off guard? In today's video, we're going to uncover what the facts in the charts are saying. Is this rally going to continue, or is there something brewing beneath the radar that will take everybody by surprise? Welcome, I'm Steve. Here we deliver honest, sponsorship-free TA with genuine value. Subscribe for a no BS approach that actually helps you. Subscribe. Now, here we are on the Bitcoin US dollar index, and we are on the weekly chart. There's going to be three components that we're going to talk about. We're going to talk about price action, which is at the top of our screen, the RSI in the middle of our screen, the stochastic RSI at the bottom. The biggest star of the show is going to be the RSI. Okay, there's a huge thing brewing in the RSI. I don't know if you can see it and notice it right now on the chart, but it's front and center and it's screaming to us. But we have to uncover what's going on with price action. Last week we had talked about and we had shown this chart here. This is a chart that we have been following for about 5 or 6 years now, and we found a little hidden clue in the chart. So on this chart, this is a monthly chart. And what we're looking at is the Fibonacci retracement. It's this little tool right here. And what we've done on the monthly chart is just go from the swing high, which is the all-time high price, to the swing low, which is the lowest price that Bitcoin reached. And what we'd have are the settings on our chart as the 0, the 0.38, and the 0.78. And if you're on the log scale, you're going to have this little button down below. And if you follow those steps, it's going to be set up precisely like this. And what you'll notice right away is that the 2015 cycle happened exactly as the 2019 cycle, which has happened so far exactly like the 23 cycle and 24 cycle. What we've noticed is that in phase 1 and phase 2, it generally rallies up to this top fib level and gets rejected and closes below. But what we've noticed is the little clue that we covered last week with this little wick that's right here and this little wick that's right here. And we noticed something very specific. This wick is 6% above our fib level, and this wick is precisely 6% above our fib level. So this is what we had to say last week. Roll the clip. If you stay level-headed and you just look at what is possible, we're going up to about 6.6, 6.5. We're up there at about 53,000. These are just the facts. Bitcoin could get to 53,000 and still be in that same scenario, because that's exactly what we did in 2015, and that's exactly what we did in 2019. So you can see we talked about around 53K. Is about 6% above here. Keep in mind, this is a monthly chart. This candle has not closed. We are hanging out precisely right there with price action. But now let's get to something bigger, something more important, right? The question is this going to continue? Well, we have something on our side, and that's our momentum. When you think about the stochastic RSI, I want you to think only as momentum. Think about it as a rocket ship, right? If our rocket ship was taking off and rising up and up and up and up and up, in order for that rocket ship, when that rocket ship starts to slow and slow and slow, it turns and then it starts to fall slowly, and then it picks up steam, picks up steam, picks up steam. That's exactly what the stochastic RSI does. It goes from the range of 0, which is at the bottom, all the way up to 100. And what happens is you want to look for crosses, okay? Simply put, when the blue line is on top, we're bullish. When the red line is on top, or orange line, we're bearish, okay? Right now we have the blue line on top. So we had a cross up, so we have momentum on our side. tilt your phone to the side and subscribe. So when we're thinking about, is price going to continue to rise, we have to think about a couple factors. One of them, momentum. We definitely have momentum on our side. However, there's a red flag in this cross. As we pointed out in last week's video, what you'll notice about the stochastic RSI, and this is according to the developer of the stochastic RSI, the original developer, they talk about having a cross below the 20 level, okay? And to put it in perspective, the 20 level's here. So we did not have both of the lines below the 20 level. If you ask yourself, well, that probably happens all the time, right? No, actually in the past couple of years, we've never had it happen, okay? The crosses that count have all happened below the 20 level, and this didn't. So this was a little bit of a red flag for us. Now, does it mean we don't have momentum? Absolutely not. We definitely have momentum. Does it mean that there could be something brewing that's a little bit behind the scenes that could take everybody by surprise? Yes, and we'll get to that in a moment. But nonetheless, we have the blue line on top. We've got momentum. Our rocket ship is heading up. It hasn't started to slow down yet, according to the facts and the charts. But we've got something a little bit bigger on our minds, and that comes in the middle of our screen. The middle of our screen is the RSI, okay? Not to be confused with the stochastic RSI. The RSI measures overbought and oversold, meaning when you have the RSI way down here at levels below this 30 level, we're considered incredibly oversold. Now, if you ask yourself, well, why would everybody be selling at the market bottom? Well, this happens every market bottom. What you want to do is try to do the opposite of the herd. It's incredibly hard to do because of humans have this thing called emotion, and we cannot control our emotion with money. It's happened for the history of mankind when we used to trade spices as our currency. We had no emotional control of anything that's ever represented money. As humans, you have to understand it's remarkably difficult to do the opposite of the herd. But everybody was selling down here. That's not a guess. It's not a flip of the coin. It's not what I hoped was happening. It's just the facts. The RSI literally measures overbought and oversold. This was one of the most oversold times in Bitcoin's history, which is why when Bitcoin was at 17,000, 16,000, and 15,000, everybody was calling for below 10,000, but we had different thoughts. This is what we had to say. Roll the clip. The charts that I studied and the charts that I've been studying for years and years and years are saying that the bottom is in, and your wake-up call is, even if the bottom is not in, it is more risky to be out of Bitcoin right now than in Bitcoin because there's a higher probability that the bottom is in. So if you're waiting for prices to dip below 10K, I don't think it's ever going to happen. So when we were near the bottom, 15, 16,000, and everybody was calling for 10,000 or lower, we called that the bottom was in based on the facts and the charts. It was the most oversold time in Bitcoin's history. So this RSI goes from overbought to oversold, right? We know that the most of the selling happened here. So when the market gets way up here, that is overbought, meaning the most amount of people buying Bitcoin happened here, right near any of our tops, okay? Tilt your phone to the side and subscribe. So this also, the RSI measures from 0 to 100. And simply put, when our RSI is really high, above the 80, you want to be thinking about selling. And when we're low, below the 20 or 30, you want to be thinking about buying. You want to do the opposite of the herd. It's incredibly tough to do. Otherwise, everybody you would know would be millionaires. But everybody you know is not a millionaire because this game is very tough because of one thing and one thing only, emotion. So if you have a strategy and you simply just follow the strategy and not use your emotion, you could be in a great place, okay? So for the RSI, this is what we have in store for us, okay? This is heating up, all right? This is really heating up. So we have more momentum on our side. price action is looking good. A couple weeks ago with price action, we had this bullish candle print while I was having my baby. I sent you guys an update on my, you can go back and look at my baby announcement on YouTube. I literally put this candle in there. This is a very bullish candle, and we're seeing the effects of that bullish candle. But we're met with some resistance right now because of that 6% rule that we showed you with the fib. But here's the catch. The RSI is key to all of this. And let me show you. And by the way, a little bit later in the video, I'm going to give one of my big tips in life. Those of you who are parents or thinking about becoming a parent, I have a big tip. Hold on for that. RSI. When you think about the RSI, we are in phase 2 of the bull. Okay, this is not up for debate. We're in phase 2 of the bull. And when you look at phase 2 of the bull, every single time for the history of Bitcoin, even dating back to 2011 and 2012, every time we were in phase 2, we came up and get rejected by this yellow line. It happened right here in 2012. It happened right here in phase 2 in 2016. In phase 2, 2020, also rejected. Phase 2, 2023, also rejected. So we got rejected from this yellow line, which happens to be our strongest level of resistance during our phase 2. So we're in phase 2 and we're right on schedule. And we got rejected, we came down here, and then we rallied back up. The problem is, what happens is the high majority of the time, the RSI follows price. Meaning, if price is rising, guess what the RSI is doing? Rising. Once in a while, we have things called divergence, which means the price is heading one way, going up, and our indicator is heading down, going the other way. So this is divergence. Divergence can come in bullish divergence or bearish divergence. But what you want to look at is if you look at any time in history, like, okay, the price is rising here, going up, 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 up. What's our indicator doing? Going up, 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 up. That's good. That's normal. Nothing to be concerned about there. What you want to watch out for is when price is going up, 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 and making higher high, higher high, higher high, and our indicator is making a high and then a lower high. That's called bearish divergence, and it's on the weekly chart, which is a very strong point of concern. You can go back and look at, the 5-day, the 3-day. There's bearish divergence forming. Now, bearish divergence is a more powerful move that's brewing in the background that hasn't burst yet. Here's how we can avoid our bearish divergence. Do you see our RSI, which is hanging out at roughly 80? We have this incredibly strong resistance that's at roughly 85. What we would need to happen is for our RSI to get higher than our prior RSI. That would null and void this bearish divergence, which means we just need our price to really go much higher for the RSI to get higher than this previous one. But there's one concern with that in mind. It's this level of resistance. And if you look at it, we would have to not only get above our previous RSI level to null and void the bearish divergence, we would have to get our RSI above this huge resistance level, which we had never, ever broken through in phase 2. If you look at the history of all of Bitcoin, rejection at phase 2, rejection at phase 2, rejection at phase 2, rejection at phase 2. It wasn't until phase 3 that we actually got above this yellow line. Case in point, right here, 2013, phase 3, we finally got above this yellow line. Case in point, 2016, rejection in phase 2. It wasn't until phase 3, which happened in early 2017, which is our phase 3, that we actually got above this yellow line. So if Bitcoin were to null and void our bearish divergence, we would have to literally get out of phase 2. Quite literally, get out of phase 2 and break this resistance. Now, is that impossible? Absolutely not. But it's a tall test, okay? What we have on the side of the bearish side is like, hey, look, there's bearish divergence. Okay, plain and simple. Price is rising, great, but there's bearish divergence and price is at precisely where it should be according to all of the facts in the charts. And this monthly chart hasn't even closed. Okay, what would be par for the course is for Bitcoin to be rejected here, this turn into a little wick, and us close right around 48K, and we would be right on schedule on a monthly close. That would be a strong case for, hey, this is happening exactly as it's happened before. What would be abnormal is for Bitcoin to barrel through this yellow line and create an all-time high before the halving. And I know I made a video last week and the week before about the halving, and I said, look, it's unlikely that we would have an all-time high before the halving. There was a lot of comments in that video about, hey, we are definitely having an all-time high before the halving. It's never happened before. And I know the biggest pro for the Bitcoin bulls is, Steve, this time is different. But they've been saying that on every video I've made for the past 7 years, and it's never different. Bitcoin always does exactly the same moves that it's done its whole history. And there's this narrative out there that it's different because of the ETF. But every cycle, this time is different because of something. You go back in all of Bitcoin's cycles. I've been making videos for years and years and years. In Bitcoin, all markets move in cyclical natures, and they always repeat the same things because it's based on human behavior, and humans are so predictable. Humans cannot control, we can't control our emotion for the history of mankind, and we always make the same emotional mistakes. Therefore, it's very predictable, these types of moves that happen, and smart money looks for it and then they pounce on it. So again, Bitcoin is very cyclical. It's been doing these same patterns for years. So we have to respect that. We can't overlook it and just be so stubborn that this time is different because of this narrative that the social media is feeding to you. You're eating it up just like they want you to. You're drinking the Kool-Aid. This time is not different. It's going to happen pretty similarly to the past. So can Bitcoin break through this yellow line, break above this phase 2, break into phase 3 slightly early? Yes, it absolutely can. Can it have an all-time high before the halving? Yes, it absolutely can have an all-time high before the halving. But is it likely? No, it's not likely to have an all-time high before the halving. I know that's what you want. I know that's what's put out there on social media because this time is different, but it's not likely. Possible, yes, but not likely. There's a big difference between what is possible and what is likely. So we want to continue to look at the facts and remain level-headed. All right? So the facts are, we have this strong momentum on our favor. Yes, we do have a little bit of a red flag with this, but it is momentum. Blue line on top, we have to respect it. Right now, we have bearish divergence, okay? That's not up for debate. This is not my opinion or what I hope is going to happen. This is bearish divergence, plain and simple. The only way to avoid it is have the RSI break through this wall and get above here, which would literally have to put us in phase 3, okay? So that is what is in front of us right now, all while this chart is salivating because it's precisely 6% just as it was in the past. So is this 6% going to break, or is it going to hold exactly like it's done before? Time will tell, especially if we get a new all-time high before the halving, which in my opinion, based on all of the facts I study, it's just not likely. Possible, but not likely. Now, I want to get to the parenting thing. This is pretty cool. So, first of all, I just had a baby, right? You guys may be aware of that. I just had a baby girl. My son is turning 5 this week, which is wild. A lot of you started following before my son was even born or around the time he was born. And just think about that for a second. He's about to be 5, which means we have a pretty deep relationship, right? Now, I want to say this. I tried to spend and maximize my time with my son. And I was curious one day because I have a very strict schedule that I follow week after week after week, which maximizes my work time, which maximizes my family time, which maximizes happiness, etc., etc. I started to research, okay, how much time do I actually spend with my son each week? And I got that number. And then I looked at, okay, well, what's typical? I'm from the US, so I said, okay, what's typical for a US married dude who lives at home? How much time do they spend with their kids? And I got that number. And then I compared it to the number I have, and I was like, holy crap, my number is almost 4 times higher than the average parent of how much time they spend with their kids. And this is what I want to say. One of the biggest things that I've learned and that I've been implementing now, this is about 2 years running. My son and I have what we call Boys' Day. Every week, it's on the same day, and every week on that day, nothing gets in our way. We're with each other all day. I'm not on the phone. I'm not on the computer. I don't give a crap what Bitcoin is doing. I could care less. I'm with my son, and I'm present, okay? And this has done wonders for our relationship. I would highly recommend you implement something like this because every day we look forward to that day and we do things on that day. I like to break the rules. I like to be free. You know, I'm a world traveler. We just live the dream, right? We're not following any rules or guidelines or time schedules or anything. We're just living the dream present with each other. This is what I would recommend you do with your kids. And it's funny, I asked my son now that we have a daughter, hey, what are we going to do on these boys' days when she gets older? Are you going to let her come with us? And he's like, yeah, we're going to do it. We'll do it, Dad. And so we might have to change the title of Boys' Day to Kids' Day. But nonetheless, what I would say to you is like, just being in control of your own schedule is so powerful, right? My son has his school in my house. We have a teacher come to our house so we can control that schedule, right? And sometimes we get him out of school early or cancel a day of school. If we have a memory that we can create as a family, we will take it over a day of school. I know that's not typical. I know that's frowned upon. I know a lot of the school kind of people are like, you shouldn't do that. Every day is so important. I don't think so. I think memories are like 1 million times more important than anything that you will find in a day of school. So when you're in control of the school schedule and you're in control of what they're actually learning in school, you can be maximizing your time with your kids. Right when school ends, I'm done with work. And there is no, hey, what if Bitcoin is going up? I don't care. What if Bitcoin is going down? I don't care. First of all, I know a lot of you who have followed me for a long time, you understand I don't focus on the short-term moves of Bitcoin. I have zero interest in that. It takes the same amount of time to make $100 as it takes to make $1 million. The same amount of time, same amount of energy, same amount of effort. A lot of people focus their time, energy, and effort on trying to pick up the pennies on the ground, trying to make $5, $10, $20, $100. If you can use that same amount of energy to make 10,000, 100,000, a million, more, it's the same amount of time. It's the same amount of energy. And as I'm saying this to you, you're probably like, is Steve on drugs? Talk to anybody who has made $100 and who has made $1 million and ask them, was it the same amount of time? Was it the same amount of energy? Was it the same amount of effort? You'll be blown away. It's the same amount of time, energy, and effort. But let that sink in and readjust your schedule. Stop focusing on all these little moves in Bitcoin up and down. Focus on what actually drives happiness. Remove all the stuff that doesn't. Double down on the stuff that's bringing you happiness. Create clarity with the charts. Understand emotion is a money killer and organize your schedule and time and efforts accordingly. And you'll have a lot more clarity. I'll leave you on that note. I'll see you right back here in the next video. Peace and love to the fellow underdogs. This bull run is our road to 500,000 subscribers, but I need your help. Today, tell one person about our YouTube channel, how we spit facts, go against the herd, take no paid sponsorships of any kind. Road to 500,000, let's go.